Hey everybody, welcome to the socaldramtram. This is your boy Cesar.
And I'm Matt. And today we got number 3 in our top 5 whiskeys under $30. That's right, folks. The train is rolling on, or the tram is rolling on. One day I'll get that right on the first try. And again, we're continuing on with our budget month series. 5 whiskeys under 30 bucks that are readily available. If you haven't already checked out the rest of these reviews, I'll go ahead and link them right here. Go ahead and check those out. That's right, Caesar's looking at an invisible thing, but that's all right. And today we have our number 3 ranked whiskey, and the first 2 were bourbons. This is gonna be our first Scotch. That's right, folks, Johnnie Walker Black. Good old Johnnie Walker. And I'll tell you, this one's a good one because I was really happy that this made it into the top 5. Number 1, because it's a Scotch, and I didn't want this to be like super bourbon heavy, because let's face it, you go to the liquor store and it's very bourbon heavy on the shelf. It's not saying that Scotch isn't available, it's just saying that there's a lot of bourbon out there. And so I was happy that this actually made it in. We're gonna go ahead and leave that open, that's fine. In fact, we're gonna put a coin on it.
We go drum with it too.
But anyway, Johnnie Walker Black, this is going to be a blended whiskey, and it's no less than 12 years aged. This is going to be, anything that's blended into this is going to be 12 years old. This is going to be a little bit of smoky, which is kind of nice. And routinely, I see this on the shelf for anywhere between 22 to 25 bucks. I think I paid 24. So again, well within the qualifiers of our parameters. And as we tested it in the blind, I remember when it finally came up to it, I took my nose in and I'm like, well, that's Johnnie Walker. And it was very easy to pick out because it was pretty much the only smoky smoke whiskey in the entire 10 whiskey lineup. So I was happy to see that it made it in. I hope that didn't influence my score individually when I made it in, but considering that this man went ahead and scored it pretty high as well, I'm glad it made the list. So what were your first initial impressions on this guy?
My first initial impression.
It's affecting you too. It's like a stuttering cloud over us tonight.
Yeah, my first initial impression, I was pretty satisfied because I have had Johnnie Walker Black before, but never with a developed palate. Wink, wink. So it was a different understanding to it, for sure. Definitely a different understanding.
Yeah, I mean, Johnnie Walker Black is something that I'm pretty familiar with. A buddy of mine, one of my groomsmen, he and I have been friends for years, my buddy Han. And this, we refer to it as our rock star whiskey. So, you know, you're out on the night and, you know, you're going to be drinking beer or you're going to be sticking to, you know, something that's kind of lighter or whatever the case may be. Although nowadays I tend to find that whiskey's way lighter than beer and I don't wake up with nearly as bad of a hangover. But the one thing that we'd always do, like if we go to like a Dave & Buster's or something, we'd get a beer, but then we'd get a glass of Johnnie Walker neat because it's kind of like the Rockstar whiskey that you can kind of just sip in between your beers and you don't have to worry about it kind of draining itself. Another reason why I really like Johnnie Walker is, you know, we're coming up on summer here. It's February and we just had a 90-degree day 2 days ago and I'm like, what happened? Go home, California, you're drunk. But what I really like is this whiskey on a hot day, drop an ice cube in it, and it just becomes money. I really, really like Johnnie Walker Black, so I'm excited to kind of come back to it. It's been about 2 weeks since we reviewed it. For coins today, I'm going to go ahead and say Wheelhouse. That's right, I'm using Scotch for Dummies coin. I'm wearing a Scotch for Dummies shirt, and today I'm actually using Andrew's coin. It's only seemed fitting because this is a peaty whiskey, and I know he likes Johnnie Walker Black, so if you haven't checked him out, Scotch for Dummies, check him out on YouTube. We talk about him all the time. And go ahead and give him a shout out. Who are you using today?
For my coaster coin, I'm using Old Soul Whiskey because you're my guy. And for my topper coin, it's Aquavite.
Speaking of Old Soul Whiskey, did you see his Instagram post about Super Bowl?
I did not.
Oh, it was great. It was like he was talking about how NOLA is basically not a football city unless the Saints go to the Super Bowl. It was pretty great. I was kind of dying about that. So yeah, right off the bat on the nose, the smoke just jumps out at you, right? But it's not like... So I was drinking, I kind of talked about it, I think it was in our Ardbeg video. I was talking about Bowmore, and my first experience with a Bowmore, I think was the 15 year. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's the 15 year. And the first time I had that, I was like, Oh, no thank you. You can go ahead and take that and dump it down a sink. Now I've come back to that same bottle. It was actually, I got a chance to drink it over the weekend at the Super Bowl party I was at, and it was much more tame. And I'm excited to kind of get into more deeply, heavily peated whiskeys. But this one is just nice, man. This is kind of reminding me, not of the Ugadale, because it's not nearly as sweet as the Ugadale, but in terms of like the potency of smoke. Because it's right there on the nose, but you don't just get the smoke. For me, I also get like a little bit of the grain in there. Get a little bit of the malt, kind of like that bready note. Kind of like when you go to the store at like 4 o'clock and all the bread's coming out of the bakery and you're like, oh, I didn't need bread until right this minute. So that's kind of what I'm getting. What are you getting off of this?
So off the smell, I'm not gonna lie, I got what I got when we did that blind tasting. I was like, interesting, it smells like feet. It kind of smells like feet to me. But I think you're relating it to smoke. To me, it smells more like feet.
Interesting. That seems like a weird thing to hang on.
However, actually, I'm tasting it now. It tastes nothing like feet. But a good resemblance is the monkey shoulder. I think monkey shoulder smells like feet too. But I consider it a really good whiskey as well, a really good Scotch. It smells like feet, but it tastes pretty good.
Got much experience smelling feet, do you? Sorry, the low-hanging fruit on that one, I had to go for it. Yeah, you know, for me with Johnnie Walker, it's nothing like... Well, let me rephrase. With Johnnie Walker Black, it's nothing that's like super complex. It does its job. So I played music for a lot of years, and there is a company that creates effects pedals for electric guitars. It's called Boss, and for all my musician guys out there who knows what I'm talking about, they have a variety of different pedals. They do, you know, distortion, they do echoing effects, they do, you know, tremolo, a whole bunch of different stuff. But they don't do anything beyond what they say. So like if you get a distortion pedal, that's exactly what it does. It distorts the sound. It's kind of the same thing with Johnnie Walker Black for me. You're gonna get what you pay for, but more importantly, you're gonna get what it's presenting to you. It's kind of like giving you your food and feeding it to you. Like, you're gonna get what you're gonna get off of it. It's nothing super complex, but it's also nothing super offensive, and it's nothing that you're not gonna be pleased to drink. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody were to pour this for me, I'm never gonna stick my nose up to it, and I'm never gonna not take a glass, and it's something that I would always have on my bar, especially at the fact that I only paid 24 bucks for it on a hot summer day. Like I said, with an ice cube in this just becomes money for me. I guarantee you this summer when it's hot and we're looking for something to drink, I'm gonna pour you this with an ice cube and you're gonna be like, yeah, this isn't feet, this is gonna be something quite delicious.
Even with it smelling like feet, it tastes pretty good. But let me tell you what, putting some water in there, that smoke just blasted through. I don't smell the feet anymore. Like it's all smoke, all peat. All peat, no feet. Hey, just kidding.
I hate you. Yeah, I mean, with the water, I don't know how you follow that. With the water, it kind of rounds out the smoke for me. You know what it kind of smells like? So we went to Korean barbecue recently, right? And you know that like day after, a lot of people say, you know, when you go to a bonfire, but we're lucky, we live in Southern California, we go to bonfire daily during the summer. But when you go to Korean barbecue, that feeling of whatever clothes you wore the night to Korean barbecue and you smell them the next day, you're like, oh, I ain't never wearing these again. That's kind of this whiskey for me when you put some water in it. Not that it's a bad thing, because it's not. It kind of blows up the smoke. Like you were saying, it really kind of lingers and it attaches itself. It's kind of like no matter what you do with this glass, like I'm worried for the next review, we're just going to need to use new glasses. You know what I mean? Because that's what's going to be in this. But with the water, you know, I even get a little bit more of the vanilla from the barrel. I almost get no pepper out of it, which is kind of awesome. A little bit of sweet honey, kind of like a burned honey. Maybe that's what the smoke and honey influence from me. And what's weird is like I almost get a little bit of like burnt sugar. It's not like a brown sugar, but just like burned sugar, kind of like caramelized sugar, but not straight caramel. It's just kind of like you're starting to reduce the sugar to start making caramel, and it's kind of like getting there. and then you missed the optimal time to actually use it, whatever you're going to do, and you burned it. But overall, I really do like this whiskey. I definitely, I'm not ashamed to have it on my bar. It's something that I could pour super easy for somebody if they're like, hey, you know, I kind of want to try some Scotch, maybe even something to get a little bit more smoky. I wouldn't pour them like a Lafroig or an Ardbeg just yet. I try them out here and see how they fare. For me, at 24 bucks at a blended Scotch, being that it is pretty complex, I'm going to give it a 4. It's like I said, it's not going to rock your socks, but the value, the fact that it's a Scotch, the fact that it's number 3 on this top 5 for us, again, in our opinion, we didn't get this list from the internet, I got to give it a 4. It definitely warrants it. It's definitely not offensive, and it's definitely something that I'll always have on my bar. What are you thinking?
I'm probably going to rate this at a 2. It's not bad for the price, but I just feel I've been opened up to so much more at that price point to where I would prefer other things. But yeah, I'd probably rate it at a 2.
All right, guys. Well, it's a 2 from Cesar. It's a 4 from me. Do us a favor, hit us up in the comments. Have you had Johnnie Walker Black? Have you had the Double Black? Have you had the Jane Walker Black? Have you had the Blade Runner edition? Have you had blue, green? I don't know. Johnnie Walker has so many freaking bottles. But anyway, hit us up in the comments and let us know what you think. Also, don't forget to like this video, hit the bell for notifications, and don't forget to subscribe. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're coming back, hey, we appreciate you. Be sure to check us out on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at socaldramtram. Guys, we super appreciate you guys hanging about. Cesar, you got anything else for us?
Now, what about you, Matt?
All aboard! Catch you next time. Hey, everybody. Hope you liked that video.
Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications.
And don't forget to subscribe.